All you got to do is just wiggle a bit, wiggle a bit. I said wiggle it a little bit.
Welcome to the August edition of Digging Up Positivity. Slowly we're sliding into convention season, and of course that comes with plenty of traditional charitable goals. Speaking of which, this month's featurette has a big role with that in South Africa. And we have some animation news, and we also see where badgers teach traffic safety. And also, if you want to win this t-shirt, stay with us until the end of the show. It was a bumpy ride, but Megaplex managed to raise $50,000 for the CARE Foundation, which houses over 200 rescued animals, including big cats, black bears, monkeys, birds, and much more salted wildlife, through a variety of educational programs for schools, resorts, and more. They do try to educate the community. Jill C., also known as Jill Costumes, a very well-known and good fursuit maker, started a GoFundMe campaign for Andrew, also known as Tabernak, a longtime friend of them. Tabernak unfortunately got a pulmonary embolism, also known as blood clots, in both of his lungs. While it could have ended so much worse, he did end up having to go to the hospital and undergo several treatments. In anticipation of the rising costs of this all, Jill managed to raise $27,643 as of recording of this video for her longtime friend. For a number of years, Frisky's Wildlife and Primate Sanctuary was the charity of choice for FurTheMore. Unfortunately, due to a storm, a tree crashed into their house and caused considerable damage, but thanks to the lovely folks from FurTheMore and their friends, they raised $6,015, and hopefully this will cover some of the damage. IndyFurCon returned with a magical convention this year and managed to raise $15,935.33 for the Exotic Animal Rescue and Pet Sanctuary, a small non-profit animal rescue group of volunteers working to help exotic pets, small companion animals, and other non-traditional pets. And last but not least, we have DenFur, who managed to raise $16,000 for the Tenacious Unicorn Ranch in rural Westcliff, Colorado, helping them continue their mission to provide a haven for trans and queer people surrounded by hundreds of cute fluffy animals in a stunningly beautiful part of Colorado, USA. You might have noticed now that the big conventions are returning, the big charity drives follow suit. But that doesn't mean that the smaller initiatives should be forgotten. If you bump into any of them, please do submit them using the form below or contact me on social media. At the end of the year we will have a big video again with the totals of this year, and I'm happy to say that with over $427,000 raised, we are already close to last year, where we, despite everything going on, managed to raise over $427,000 for charities worldwide. The Olympic Games had furry themed mascots in the past, and if you mention those two in one sentence, many will instantly look back at the movie Animalympics from the 80s. But with last Olympic Games, suddenly they had suspiciously furry mascots in Australia, starring not just in comics and promotional assets but even on legal tender. The story behind it is wild, and Pocari decided to jump into it and cover the entire roller coaster of events that led up to those furry mascots. While we do know who is behind those Australian furry mascots, it's not as clear with the Swiss AXEA, who has a whole series about traffic safety aimed at kids featuring the most adorable badger named Max. Could be a meerkat, that good he is with looking around. Collaborations between talented furry musicians are fun to see and a delight to listen to. Standing out this month was the lovely cover from U2's With or Without You by Polar the Lion and Manic. I mean, his voice is just dreamy.
And I'm waiting for you.
Confuror is coming back online this October. Their team is Michle en Michelen, or in het English, Journey to Michelen. This is the first part of a tribute to Mexico's most noble and colorful traditions, which will be continued up to October 2022 with Confuror's Dia de Muertos, or also known as Day of the Dead. For the online edition, they will run a virtual Fursuit Parade, which you can still apply to October 4th. Details about this you can find in the description below or in the linked video up here. Last episode we did announce that our Eastern colleagues from Global Furry Television were about to celebrate their 7-year anniversary, and celebrating they did. In a big 3-hour stream, they looked back at 7 successful years and presented their plans for the future. You can check out their archived stream right here. Sonic the Hedgehog, a movie adaptation of a video game that made me believe that the video game movie curse might just have been lifted. And of course, with that, a sequel has been announced for April 2022. One of the new, or let's say returning appearances is fan favorite Knuckles the Echidna, and he will be voiced by Idris Elba. You might know his voice from Chief Bogo from Zootopia.
We need to acknowledge the elephant in the room. Happy birthday.
Shere Khan from the Jungle Book.
So here's my promise. Nothing lasts forever.
And my personal favorite, Stacker Pentecost from Pacific Rim.
Today we are canceling the apocalypse!
Oh gosh, I so love him in that movie. While initially thinking about the silly Knuckles from Sonic Boom, I think this rendition of him might be a bit more serious. And now, onwards to our featurette, Ivic Wulfe, co-chair of the South African FurCon, radio host and so much more. Start transmission. Ivic, welcome to Digging Up Positivity. Thank you for being on the show. Well, to start off right away, how did you get to know of the furry fandom?
When it comes to the fandom, I've actually been in the fandom for, it's been a very, very long time, I think. I was in high school, and I'm 33 now. So it's been a while. I think I've been in the fandom for, I can't remember the amount of years, but I got to know about it through art, actually, through DeviantArt. And then from there, I started going into the werewolf fandoms. Joined a couple of like RP type things there, and then sort of everything springboarded from there. I think it's around about no, I can't tell you the year. I can't remember anymore.
That's no problem. Well, time does fly when you're having fun, and which brings me to the next point. What is your favorite moment in the furry fandom so far?
I mean, there are many, I think. It obviously has to be, firstly, finding people in South Africa and getting to meet furries, or at least like-minded people within the country itself, and then from there has to do with the creation of the convention itself and the fact that it became a success, I think, within 2-3 years that it's been running. And then, of course, even with COVID, there's the idea that we're still pulling together and having meets and having a whole plethora of different mediums and people out there. Those are very, very like amazing things that happen.
Yeah, I saw the online stream. You even had a Dutch furry as a guest, Grace or Wolvini.
Yeah, Wolvini was. I can't remember what they were doing particularly, but we did have them on as one of our guests. So it's nice to see that we've had a plethora of American furries also join us for the online conventions.
That's really cool. As a member of the South African furry fandom, is there, what would you think that is a unique aspect of your side of the fandom?
Besides everything just being uniquely South African, I have to say that instead of, like, fur meets, for instance, don't necessarily take place at, say, open areas. So fur meets, obviously, we tend to join up at someone's house. We have like 10 or 15 people join in. And I think the biggest one that we had, and it was actually one of the reasons why we couldn't have them at that house anymore, but we had up to about almost 40 people. So it was a big house party, and people complained eventually after that. But it's definitely the most memorable one, and yeah, it was absolutely amazing.
That sounds really cool. And with this, do you also have a bucket list, like things that you want to do in the future or directions you want to take your end of the fandom in?
I mean, breaking 50 at this point, maybe getting to 100, 150. Again, those are all sort of the general bucket list points of making sure that the convention itself has longevity to it is part of the bucket list that I would hold for myself. Being able to have more international furs take interest in the fandom from South Africa's point of view. We have a beautiful country. I'd love to be able to continue sharing that with anybody who's willing to come down.
That is lovely to see. And South Africa is on my radar. I can't make any solid promises yet, but I definitely want to go there sometimes. Do you have any recommendation for newcomers?
I think, honestly, for newcomers, enjoy what you can. It doesn't matter whether it's online, whether it's face to face or anything along that kind of line. I think that as long as you're having a good time and enjoying the people that you spend time with, that is, I think, the main crux. Again, the furry fandom is and always has been sort of just being able to turn your brain off for a while and just, I guess, be furry. And whatever that sort of entails, being able to do that, that's something that I'd be able to tell anybody who's young within the fandom. It doesn't matter, and it shouldn't matter whether people are judging you or not. I mean, again, at the end of the day, there are rainbow-colored furries out there that, like, nobody bats an eye at anymore, and it doesn't matter. So it's about just enjoying yourself, and I think that that's what I would recommend anybody who's new to the fandom itself. Just come in and be yourself.
That is a wonderful recommendation. And with this, I would like to thank you for attending this episode of Digging Up Positivity. And I hope that we can talk again in the near future.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for sticking around till the very end. For this month I'm giving away one t-shirt, the one that I'm wearing, in your size of course, courtesy of Artwork Tee. All you have to do is to respond to this video saying that you would like to have one, and I will announce the winner on September 25th in the next episode of Digging Up Positivity. And now I would like to thank especially my sponsors from Patreon and Subscribestar: Cosmic with a K, Elsdeckers, Falconio, Hanzana, Ishnula, Kitako, Tantru McNally, Taros, and Scortaser. And thank you, of course, everyone, and all the hugs.
Taking off, 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 taking off.